Well, today is going to be an absolutely chaotic day for the Tory government as well as the Labour Party for some reason. Every time the Tories are having problems, Keir Starmer goes, hold my beer because I'm going to shoot myself in the foot and miss another open goal. So that's going to be fascinating. We're going to stay with you guys all day. Throughout the day, we're going to have a number of live streams and all the video updates because it's a busy day in Westminster. We've got Boris Johnson's saga with the Privileges Committee and Rishi Sunak's new Brexit deal. The Windsor framework is going to be debated and voted on. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how everybody will react. But Mark Francois has already come out to expose Rishi Sunak. We are now claiming that Rishi Sunak might have misled Parliament and lied to the House and the British public over what his new deal is actually going to be doing. So my question is, are we going to have the mainstream media actually scrutinizing this or not? They were very much on top of Boris Johnson potentially misleading Parliament over the Partygate issue. Are they going to do the same thing with Rishi Sunak? But first, let's go to this video of a few days ago, a week ago, I think, a couple of weeks ago, with when the Prime Minister came to the House of Commons and announced his new Brexit deal. He explained what it does, including the Stormont Break, which is the mechanism that gives Britain and Northern Ireland the ability to scrutinize EU laws, veto them, delay them. But apparently it doesn't actually do that. Let's go to Rishi first.
We're told it was impossible. The EU negotiators would never consider it. But the Stormont Break has been introduced by fundamentally rewriting the treaty, specifically the provisions relating to dynamic alignment. That is a permanent change. It ends the automatic ratchet of EU law. And if the veto is used, the European courts can never overturn our decision.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that sounded quite clear. Very robust, that it's permanent if changes happen and the EU doesn't really have any say. And it's completely overwritten the current deal. Well, when Mark Francois, the chairman of the ERG, the European Research Group, came out yesterday to say that the pro-Brexit Tory MPs are going to be voting against this deal, he also explained this problem.
Of urgency, where the UK can decide not to implement the break. Even if they do decide to implement the break via the Joint Committee, the EU can then still object to that, and the matter is then referred to arbitration, where the UK could lose. So that is clearly not a veto. A veto means you want to do something and I can stop you. This is not a veto, which is how it has been characterised for the past 3 weeks. Even if after all of that you win at arbitration, and there's no guarantee you will, the EU can then implement remedial measures, i.e. they can retaliate. And then lastly, after all of that, if you've had the temerity to pull the break, the UK, via the Joint Committee, then has to produce the results of an urgent review as to why they felt the break had to be used in the first place.
Here we go. That was the result of the investigation of this deal. We already covered this, by the way, yesterday. We've done a number of videos on it. Make sure to check out the channel. We even showed you the graphs and all the graphics on how this thing is supposed to be working. You don't really have a veto when it comes to EU laws. It just simply sends it to the panel, and the EU will have to also be involved in that decision, and then they can overturn it. And this is a big problem. And it's just part of the issue, by the way, because we still have the fundamental problem that the European Court of Justice remains in place in Northern Ireland, and the NI side of the UK is still linked to single market and the customs union, and the so-called twin lanes, the green lane, which is for the products that's going to be traded between Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and the red lane, which is the goods and products that could be traded between the whole of the UK and the Republic of Ireland, the EU, That's also nonsensical because a green lane is not really a green lane. You'll have to be on a very specific verified list as a supplier, as a business, but also there's no guarantee that your products are not going to end up accidentally on the red lane. This is the issue. No one's going to be talking about this on the mainstream media right now, but we're going to be doing it throughout the day. We're going to keep you guys posted on all those developments and everything else happening in the country. But the best thing you can do is subscribe to the channel. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.